Live at Issue, Sunday, November 18th.
I am confident that with him as police commissioner of this city, we can bring down our homicide rate.
Mayor-elect Michael Nutter selects his Philadelphia police commissioner.
One thing I can tell you is that we will get lean and mean.
And what do this and other post-election moves mean for Philadelphia? We'll ask the mayor-elect Michael Nutter now on Live at Issue.
Good morning. I'm Steve Highsmith, and welcome to Live at Issue. Less than 10 days after his landslide victory, Mayor-elect Michael Nutter has already moved to tackle two major problems: crime and money. He announced his finance director 2 days after the election and his police commissioner just this past Thursday. And in between, he's pressed forward on several other issues in anticipation of the day he actually starts getting paid to work, January 7th. And Mayor-elect Michael Nutter joins me now. Congratulations again on your election.
Thank you.
With all these appearances and decisions you've been making, you're not going to put in for comp time or anything, are you?
No.
Okay. Let's begin with the serious decisions of your police commissioner. You said that there were three qualities at this news conference at the Y at 51st and Market.
Yeah.
You said that Charles Ramsey wanted someone who had a proven record in a major city, and he fits that. You also said that he's a strong leader and able to communicate with officers and with the community. Yeah. Let's go on that second one right now. What is it in the conversations you had with him that convinced you that he was so far above the rest when it came to those communication skills?
Well, I think it's pretty clear, both from the press conference and other public engagements, that Chief Ramsey has an ability to explain himself in whether it's high-tech police language or at a level that virtually anyone, he's conversational. It's easy to talk to. He has an easy style and manner, but he's very serious about the issue of policing and overall police strategy. I think that that is critically important. The public wants to be reassured that someone with experience, who they can talk to and feel comfortable with, and he is very comfortable with himself and out in the community. He's enthusiastic about coming back to Philadelphia very shortly to get out in the community. Police Commissioner Johnson has already offered to take Chief Ramsey around to introduce him to many of the community leaders that he'll need to know. But he is just a warm and engaging person. But after a couple minutes with him, you know he's also a very serious policeman.
I think everyone will agree that he commands a room when he walks in and when he speaks.
Absolutely.
He's no nonsense, and you know at least what he wants you to know.
Well, he's in a no-nonsense business.
When you said that the current commissioner is going to take him around, that's after Thanksgiving. He's coming in for a week, right? He's going to do that, and then he'll be back for another week in December. As
he's going to be here a lot. Yeah.
When you look at the relations with the FOP, you and Chief Ramsey, now soon to be commissioner, met with the FOP that day. That
same day.
How would you describe that conversation? How did that go?
It was a great conversation. John McNesby is a professional, and I respect the fact that as the leader of the FOP, of course he would want someone to come from inside. But as he also said in the newspaper, that's a decision the mayor has to make. And John is respectful of my responsibility as the next mayor of the city. Once you get beyond that, John McNesby, Chief Ramsey, me as the mayor, and I think more importantly the officers and citizens of this city want to move forward. We want to have a safer city. And the only way that's going to happen is with cooperation among the police, the community, of course the leadership at the FOP, and the support that I can provide as mayor of the city. We have to move forward. The decision has been made, and John is certainly expressing his cooperative spirit.
You've spoken in detail about all the factors that come into making progress in crime. But dealing with the police department in and by itself, I remember one flyer you had out, at the top of it, it says send a message on election day. Are you sending a message by picking a commissioner who has a history of rebuilding or restructuring a department, that you're going to restructure the police department in a major way?
Well, I think I've tried to send the message by my candidacy that change is coming, change should be expected, and that's what the voters have asked for. And so whether it's the police department or any other department in the city of Philadelphia, all should expect a certain amount of change. It is a new day. We're going to conduct ourselves in a new way. That's what this is really all about. And I think most people agree that there are some structural changes that need to take place in the police department, whether it's the power and authority of the police commissioner in Philadelphia, which is one of the most restrictive anywhere in the country.
And those will be charter changes.
That's a charter change, but there are also deployment issues and where our personnel are and how are we best utilizing the 6,600 plus officers that we have, the men and women who risk their lives every day. How many are in special units? How many are working inside? What other things can we do besides just adding more officers to the force? And the chief was the first to say, before he asks for one more officer, he wants to assess what we're doing with the officers we have.
He knows you're going to give him 500, though.
He knows that we're going to have a conversation about it.
Now, when You have said on this program and in public elsewhere that you wouldn't run again if the murder level did not dramatically drop. Have you set any benchmarks for him on crime?
Not down to any specific numbers. I mean, you know, he was just announced on Thursday, so he's still trying to figure out the housing options and getting back to Philly to meet with the commissioner and the command staff, ride with some officers and those kinds of things. We'll have a series of those conversations, but I think more important than the numbers is what are we doing? How do we demonstrate to the public that there is a plan of action, that people can actually feel safe in their community, regardless of what the numbers may be? If people don't feel safe, then they really aren't safe. And so I think that what the public should expect is you now have, there will be a new leader. We've always known there was going to be a new leader because Police Commissioner Johnson said that he was going to retire at the end of Mayor Street's term. So fine. We've announced a new leader, put a game plan together, and then start seeing results that people can see and understand shortly after the inauguration.
Rightly or wrongly, there are people who believe that the current police commissioner has had his hands tied by the current mayor. What can you say, or have you had a conversation with Chief Ramsey that would, how would you describe it? Would you say you've given him free rein, full support, or what are you going to do?
Well, that question kind of came up at the press conference, and what I said then is the same I'll say today. I'm placing a great amount of faith, trust, and support in soon-to-be Police Commissioner Chuck Ramsey. He will be the commissioner of the police department. Certainly I expect that he and I will stay in touch. He knows my views and thoughts, but he has 38 years of policing service. He's worked in big cities. He will run that department, and certainly I'll have an opportunity for input and consultation. He's the police commissioner. I'm the mayor.
He said we're going to get aggressive and be focused. Some people, in trying to read tea leaves and look at his record, look at the Pershing Park incident in Washington, D.C., where several hundred people were arrested and didn't do anything wrong, and say that he has a tendency to get too aggressive sometimes in that area. Did you talk about him with that?
The chief raised Pershing Park as an incident. I mean, let's look at it in a broader context. 8 to 9 years as chief of Washington, D.C., a place that has 3,000 demonstrations a year. Philly has nowhere near that size. A subordinate officer made a decision. The chief recognized that they made a mistake. He acknowledged that publicly, wrote a letter of apology to the citizens of Washington, which I believe was run in the Washington Post. He's a person of, he takes action. If he makes a mistake, he's man enough to stand up and say that something didn't go right. I think in a 9-year career as the longest-serving police chief in Washington, D.C. post-Home Rule, that's not a bad record, and it's something for him to be very proud of.
What he did say at that news conference is, what we will not do is abuse the rights of citizens. To be
Absolutely.
fair to him.
He's a strong civil rights champion and knows how to use police authority.
You obviously interviewed a lot of other people,
Yeah.
some of them locally. Have you reached out to those people that you had earlier interviewed and explained your decision to them?
Every one of them. And they were very appreciative, were surprised, quite frankly, to get the call. I talked to every person that I interviewed here locally and explained why I was doing what I was doing, or at least that I'd made that decision, asked for their continued help and support and loyalty to the Philadelphia Police Department and to Chief Ramsey.
Governor Rendell goes before the House Judiciary Committee on Tuesday, does something that most governors have never done. It's been a long time. He is saying, look, there are 3 bills that have been languishing there. One is the 1 gun a month. The other is to let communities like Philadelphia establish their own gun laws to some extent. And the third would be if you lose a gun, stolen, whatever, you have to report it.
Yeah.
And he's trying to move this thing forward. People are looking at this as cynically in some quarters as a win-win, that he goes there, if he loses, his base is happy, if he wins, he wins. There's something wrong with that approach, isn't it? Not his approach, but the approach of looking at this guy is going there and he's trying to move something, regardless of how you feel on the issue.
Yeah, it's sad that anyone would look at it in the crass political context of win-win, as if this is some game. This is very serious business. People are dying on the streets of Philadelphia, citizens and police officers. And so I think it is an insult to the memory of any of our fellow Philadelphians, and certainly most recently to the memory of police officer Charles Cassidy, that someone would look at this in some cynical kind of fashion. I think the governor is demonstrating leadership, and what's not happening is leadership being shown by those who have a responsibility in the General Assembly. This is about handguns whose only purpose is to kill people.
I want to
sole
follow up
purpose.
on this in just a moment. We have to take a break. More with Mayor-elect Michael Nutter when NBC Live at Issue returns.